Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we're back from the brand new video. Today's video, me and we are here to talk about some Rangers things. Because I'm sure a lot of you are like me and absolutely bouncing off the wall without that roller coaster which is supporting Rangers Football Club. But as the season is pretty much done and over, or at least not coming back anytime soon, I thought today was the day we finally discuss who was the top 5 players of the season. Now I know the second half of the season wasn't good enough, and pretty much to a man there was a massive dip in quality, and I completely agree with that. But for today's video, for the basis of today's video, let's take a step away from the annoyance which is the second half of the season and just take a step back and look at it from the first game to the last and take everything into consideration. Because it's real easy just to sit back and say, oh, no one deserves to be on this list, why are you making this video? The second half of the season was not good enough. But where's the conversation in that? Where's the back and forth? And more importantly, where's the fun in just looking at the season like that? Yes, it's so frustrating about what happened, but there was a journey there, lads, and I think honestly there's enough bleakness going around in the way the world is right now. Let's actually just sit back, me and and talk. So enough talking around the list, let's actually just dive in then, shall we? And for once my lists are actually going to be in order from 5 right down to who I think is the best overall player this season. So let's start off at number 5, and it's actually going to be a striker, and it's the striker by the name of... That was awful drums, cut that out. It is of course none other than Jermaine Defoe. And you know something, it's a wee bit weird to be mentioning Jermaine Defoe because naturally you always think of Morelos' goals per game and you think about Morelos because he is the number 1 striker at Rangers. But when you look at what Jermaine Defoe done this season with the very limited opportunities he gave, for me, he had to be on this list. I mean, just in the league alone, 20 games, 13 goals and 1 assists. But again, we have to highlight the fact that all 20 games weren't starts. In fact, the majority of them were substitute appearances. So we actually have to underline that and point out the fact that this man is scoring goals in the top flight of Scottish football every 77 minutes. But that isn't even where the impressiveness stops from Jermaine Defoe, because that's just the league. 77 minutes in the league, super sub appearances. When you take everything into consideration, when you look at his entire season, what he done for Rangers, he played 32 games, he scored 17 goals, and again, having that cheeky little assist under his name, meaning he scored a goal for Rangers every 82 minutes. That is what he averaged on the season. That's incredible. What a season it was for Jermaine Defoe. It's just really unfortunate for him and us Rangers fans that he wasn't able to add to that tally in the second half of the season because of a recurrent injury. We lost him for 7 weeks. He came back. He was also away a couple of days after re-injuring it again. But moving away from the injury and even moving away from the stats, because as I've said on this channel, stats aren't everything in terms of football. When that man was on the park, even though the service wasn't exactly perfect for him, and 9 times out of 10 it was just kind of lumped to him high in the air, there was always this air of excitement when he was on that park, because you knew even that of a chance that the man had a good chance of smashing it into the back of the net, and he showed that with his gallery of goals. Some of them were absolutely out of nothing and finishes only he could do. So JD makes it to number 5 on the old list. Now we move over to number 4, and we're going to be travelling from the attack all the way back to the defence, and there was only one name from my point of view that deserved to be mentioned at the end of the season, and in fact it was a guy who was nowhere near the list when we done this video last year. If you remember, he wasn't even in the conversation. That is how far off it he was at the end of last season. However, after a certain free kick versus St Mirren, his performances just go better and better and better. Now I'm of course talking about Borna Barisic, aka Mr. B. Fantastic season in my personal point of view from the Croatian left back, because as we mentioned last season, it wasn't great from Barisic. He didn't even look like he was going to be a nailed on starter. Flanagan looked like he had took his job film, and we wouldn't see Barisic again, and that was frustrating for a lot of us because we saw his quality for the international team. We saw his performances for Croatia every single time he went away, but they weren't translating, and we were pleading and we were waiting for that moment for it to translate to the Scottish game and for him to perform like he does for his country. And by God, did that free kick just open the door and BB skipped all the way through. A fantastic example of an attacking modern day fullback, carving open defences left, right and centre with that wand of a left foot. Whether it was a delivery or a threat from set pieces, he offered us a lot this season in my opinion. In 39 games he offered 14 assists by the way, and probably should have had a hell of a lot more. And speaking of should have had a hell of a lot more, he only scored 2 goals, which honestly surprised me. But I think back to at least 4 free kicks off the top of my head that he was a whisker away if he added to that tally as well. But that's all ifs and maybes. Let's push that to one side because this guy doesn't need them. As we just said, 14 assists, 4 of them coming in the Europa League group stages where big moments, big players arrived, and he certainly did for Rangers. And during that unbelievable run in Europe from Rangers this season, you can't take anything away of what Barisic offered during that fantastic run. But I'll be honest, it wasn't just his attacking outlet that impressed me this season. I think he's a far better defender than what a lot of people give him credit for, and he was far more aggressive in his tackling, and when he was booted from left to right o'er the park, he didn't shy away. You've all seen that image, he's geeing up the crowd and that as well, he's facing everyone, and to me, that arrogance, the swagger, the belief in his own ability was the biggest difference from year 1 with Barisic to year 2. He seemed to get it, he seemed to understand what it meant to be a Rangers player, and he was honestly just fantastic. He offered so much going forward, but again, I think he's very, very underrated in what he offered going back. Now moving over to number 3 on the old list, and this is where it got very, very tough. And before I actually say anywhere, I'm going to tell you 3, 2 and 1, flip-flop left, right and centre for the last couple of days. As I've been planning this video, it's been changing constantly, but I'm going to go with what's settled right now on the old noggin. And at number 3, I'm going to return to the attack and go ahead and pick Alfredo Morelos. Now I know for a fact there's going to be so many people already jumping into that comment section to scream abuse at me for having Alfredo Morelos at just number 3, and probably he's alright, to be fair, he's usually are, but to me, having him at number 3 isn't a dig at Alfredo Morelos. In fact, it's the exact opposite, because I'm saying right now in today's video, spoiler alert for the other 2 positions in this list, but Alfredo Morelos for me was the best attacking outlet for Rangers all season long. And I say that because for the large majority of this season, Alfredo Morelos carried Rangers' attack on that man's back, running from pillar to post, running down the channel and getting the ball, battling defenders, getting kicked up and down the place, getting back up, getting stuck into defenders. I mean, he won us so many cheap free kicks, and yes, that can sometimes annoy people how quickly it goes down, but the guy's up there battling, and there's so many games, especially in that first half of the season, that he won pretty much on his own in terms of attacking. I mean, the first goal that comes to my mind right away is that game versus, I think it was Motherwell, where we just punted the ball up. He had it at the halfway line with 2 defenders. He rolled one. He ran all the way at the box with somebody trying to rip his clays off, and he goes ahead and smashes it in to the back of net. That right there, only Alfredo Morelos could do. There's not another striker in this country that can score the goals that he can score when he's at his best. And calling back to something we've already said in today's video when we were talking about Jermaine Defoe about the service, no always being great. It was the exact same when Morelos was on the park, but what separates Jermaine Defoe and Alfredo Morelos for me is his off the ball work. That guy, when he's at it and when he's fully at his best, no one can touch him in that position in this country. And his stats clearly back that up. 42 games, 29 goals, 10 assists, averaging a goal every 112 minutes. And yes, that's including the second half of the season where it went all wrong for him and all wrong for us. Now, for those that are still watching today's video and didn't click off immediately after I put Alfredo Morelos at number 3, we are moving over to number 2 on the old list, and once again it was very, very difficult, and I know there's going to be people sitting back with a smile laughing saying, I know who you're going to put at number 1, CJ, so I know who's at number 2. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that guy you think is going to be number 1 on this list, my favourite player that currently plays for Rangers, is actually number 2. Aye, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Ryan Jack is number 2 on the old list, and again, that's never ever a knock on the man himself. For me, he was the most consistent outfield player for Rangers all season long. And I think in years to come, we're going to be looking back to this season as the year that it all began to change for Ryan frickin' Jack. I think this will be remembered as the transitional year for Ryan Jack, because before this season, he was always sort of the destroyer, the midfield guy, break up play and pass it off, cover for Tavernier. That was his role at Rangers Football Club. However, as you saw this season, he was starting to evolve into a much more well-rounded central midfielder at Rangers Football Club. Not only as he breaking up play, protecting the back four, covering for Tav when he bombs forward, but he's also driving forward and following up his own passes now going forward and picking up dangerous positions at the edge of the box, bringing us some goals, right? I'm going to be honest, not a lot, but some goals and some shots that nearly gave me a heart attack. And when Ryan Jack is fully fit and when he's in that midfield, we always talk about guys playing for the badge and giving absolutely everything they have. And I can honestly sit back in today's video and tell you I've seen Ryan Jack give absolutely everything this year. Injuries clearly affected him in the second part of the season. He was took off at half-time at Tynecastle. He's missing a lot of time. And you think back to those games, whenever Ryan Jack doesn't play for Rangers, I honestly can see a massive, massive difference. To me, when Ryan Jack isn't in that midfield, our midfield has no bite. But listen, I could sit here and talk about Ryan Jack all day, but I'm not going to take up all your night, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just going to end it with something that I think sums everything up. And you didn't even need to listen to me. You could push my opinion to one side, because during the winter break, when you had Alfredo Murillo sitting on 29 goals, Steven Gerrard said his player of the season so far was Ryan Jack. That right there says it all. Now moving over to number 1 on the old list, and even though every single person will know exactly who I'm about to say, especially if you've watched the entire video and heard me say that Ryan Jack at number 2 was the best outfield player of this season, that does leave the number 1 spot open. But before we actually say that, I just want to give a special shout out to Scotty Arfield, who was very, very close to making this list. And to me, he was one of the few players from our team that started the season who performed at high level in the second half of the season. So Scotty Arfield, very, very close. And the two new boys, Hadji and Kimberry, joined the football club and played at a very high level, but once again, they weren't here long enough to make the overall list, in my personal opinion. So let's get to the list then, shall we? Number 1 is, of course, Alan McGregor. Now, if you've watched this channel for a long time, you know that's now back-to-back years. I've sat here and made this video and picked Alan McGregor as my player of the season. I picked him last season and he's done a wee dirty double, ladies and gentlemen. And just like what I said last year, I am very, very surprised about how little Alan McGregor has actually been talked up regarding the old player of the season discussion, because it's been sort of floated in the comment section. A couple of people has been requesting this video now that the season looks like it's pretty much over, and people's been sharing their opinion. And I'll tell you right now, the common consensus from what I've seen so far has been Ryan Jack and Alfredo Morelos, but for me it has to be Alan McGregor. The European run, which was incredible and got so much plaudits for the likes of Morelos, Barisic and even Ryan Kent for his big game performances, and rightly so, all those certainly deserve credit. But I'm looking at the guy in the sticks and I'm looking at all these games and I'm seeing the 2 or 3 McGregor moments, as I like to call them, in every single game. And these McGregor moments are spread throughout the season and spread throughout every single competition and every game this lad has been involved in. Has he been perfect? Has he been immaculate? Has he never made a mistake? Nah, or as we like to say in this channel, nah. But the couple of times where he has mistakes, or a couple of times I've been slightly disappointed out in McGregor, the positives far, 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 far outweigh the negatives. I think a wee perfect example actually is that Old Firm win at the end of December. Katic nearly had a statue built because he scored that goal to beat Celtic, but who made the penalty save early in the game to keep us in it? Who made the 2 incredible saves versus Feyenoord? Who made that ridiculous reaction save versus Legia Warsaw to keep us in and give us the opportunity to go ahead and qualify for the European group stage? I could honestly sit here and discuss nearly every single game and mention a McGregor moment, and I know there's going to be cynics out there and the cynical people that says he's a goalkeeper, CJ, he's supposed to make saves, and aye, goalkeepers are meant to make saves, agreed, but the level of consistency that this man does it in the biggest moments separates him from the rest, in my personal opinion, and that is why he is on this list at number 1, taking everything into consideration, the good, the bad and the ugly. For me, Alan McGregor is my Rangers player of the season. But with all that being said, we are now officially done with today's video. Sorry about the crazy length of today's video. I just wanted to have a Rangers conversation. I'm missing it badly, lads. I'm missing the old interaction, so that's why I've made it. To the legends who's watched all the way to the very, very end, thank you. And to every single person who has clicked on today's video, I'm hoping you and your families are alright, you're staying safe and you're staying inside. That's been my list. If you haven't done so already, make sure you be getting your thoughts and opinions out there. But as always, I've been CJ Nova92. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.